Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. We're talking games from last week, games to come, predictions, news, goings on in the football world. It's all here. We've got it all. Everyone's here. It's all the football you could ask for and more. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop reviews where you can drop them and share the podcast around. It means a lot to us if you can do that. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Recording in progress.
The unmistakable tone of the good lady has told you all you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. We're back once again for another trip through the footballing world, the footballing wilderness no more. Myself and my three colleagues are here to bring you some football chatter. I will, of course, be bringing the Middlesbrough flavour. Mr. Woodmansey will be bringing the whole flavour. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Very good, very good. Mr. Moore will be bringing the Nottingham Forest flavour. How are you, sir?
Not going well at the moment.
We'll get to that later on. And just sort of sweeping up everything else just from around the whole football world. Mr. Cook, how are you, sir?
Oh, just absolutely divine.
It's what you want to hear every week, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let's not waste any time, shall we? Let's dive straight in to week 26's predictions and we'll go through the results from those games. And those games started on Saturday in our fair capital with Fulham taking on Nottingham Forest. How did it go, Mr. Moore?
Went about as expected, I think, is the term kind of thing. I mean, it not helped by you might as well just get straight into it. So 7 minutes in, 5, 6, 7 minutes in, one of their players plays a pass, and both of our defenders managed to pull a hamstring. One out for 3 months, one out for 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, that's a cracking start to a game which you're already kind of thinking going to be tough. Willie Bolly and Scott McKenna both subbed off at the same time for Joe Worrell and Felipe to make his debut. I think he didn't really get much better from there, to be honest. Willian scored not long after that. And then I think Fulham kind of played around with Forest a little bit. I think Forest made a bit of headway in the second half, perhaps created some chances. And then just as they were about getting themselves into the game, Solomon got the second and kind of finished the game off, really. So disappointing trip to the capital. Costly trip to the capital, being as we are now down to 2 recognised central defenders that are fit in the squad. Being as Nia Kete is, we don't know quite how far away from being fit. And Steve Cook was left out of the 25-man squad. So, So unless we have some star defender in the youth ranks that can be brought up, we are screwed. We've got Man City next. So, yeah, joy.
Not ideal. A threadbare squad is never a good thing. And I think, straight, it was one of the. I'm pretty sure we discussed it on the podcast before that the position that Forest couldn't afford to have any injuries in was centre half, and to have two go down in the same, not even in the same game, in the same attack, is
off the same pass. They both were chasing the same pass and pulled their hamstring. I mean, that is beyond unfortunate. So, when people say, "Oh, why have Forest signed nearly 30 players this season?" This is the eventuality that we were hoping to avoid and haven't. But we kind of So I don't know whether Serge Aurier can play at centre half. Apparently, Lodi can do it. Someone had said maybe Ryan Yates, once he's better, can play at centre half, but it's no. Considering the run of games that we've got coming up and the position that we're in, you kind of want recognised defenders there because, let's face it, 3 months and 2 months effectively puts us at the end of April. At that point, it might all be over and done with if we don't have recognised defenders for a good chunk of our games. A costly trip to the capital, as it always seems to be when you go to the capital. It costs you a lot more than what you thought it was going to.
That is some lovely, wordplay, banter, lovely. I mean, yeah, I know you're not wearing one, but doff your cap there, sir. Well played. So, from a predictions perspective, Andy was the most optimistic. You'll be shocked to hear. Going for a 1-0 Nottingham Forest win with Johnson to score the goal. Sadly, no points there for Mr. Cook. Stu had gone for a 1-1 draw. Mitrovic and Wood to score. Me and Matt were both on the same wavelength, went for a 2-1 Fulham win. Matt had Mitrovic and Deco over Reed to score for Fulham, and Gibbs White to score for Forest. I had Mitrovic to score one of the goals for Fulham, Wood to score the first goal, but I did have Willian to score for Fulham, so I get myself an extra point there. So 2 points for me, 1 point for Mr. Moore, 0 points so far in the week for Stu and Mr. Cook. The second game of the week took us, so even though it's the English Premier League and the English Football League, we're in Wales, ladies and gentlemen, for Cardiff City versus Middlesbrough. Now, obviously, Borough not particularly happy with the fact that they had to travel to a different country, get their passports out, lads. It's going to be a long drive. And because they were so angry about this, they decided to teach Cardiff a lesson and take the lead through Stu's favourite player, Marcus Force. However, didn't go all their own way as Cardiff equalised and apologised in all the same breath as sorry Cabba scored the equaliser for Cardiff. So nice that he was at least man enough to apologise for causing such aggravation for the long-suffering, travelling Middlesbrough supporters. Didn't take that line down though. Cameron Archer, with his first for the club, got Middlesbrough back into the lead just before half-time, and the game was sewn up in the second half with a Riley McGree goal just to finish off the scoring for Middlesbrough. Good performance by all accounts. Performance where they were obviously not under too much pressure. Some lovely goals. Just an all-round decent team performance. From a predictions perspective, I was the least optimistic on this one, going for a 1-1 draw. Ojo to score for Cardiff, Akpom to score for the Borough, bagging myself 0 points. Stu and Andy had both gone for 2-0 Middlesbrough wins. Stu with Archer and Akpom to score, so he gets himself an extra bonus point there. Andy with Akpom and Fours to score, so gets himself a bonus point there. Step forward, Nostradamus for the week, Mr. Matthew Moore, predicting a Cardiff City 1, Middlesbrough 3 scoreline. Well played to you, sir. Robinson to score the goal for Cardiff, no extra points there. A brace from Akpom, sadly no points there. And a goal from Force, bonus point there. We'll all be pleased to hear that Stuart Akpom managed to hit the post when it apparently was much easier for him to score. So we'll all be really happy that we didn't get bonus points there from the division's leading marksman. But no points for me. 2 points apiece for Stu and Andy. And taking home 3 points, Mr. Moore. Our next game takes us to Stoke-on-Trent, where Stoke City were taking on Hull City. How does this one go, Stu? How long do you need to discuss this one?
If I just tell you the most positive news about the result was the fact that 2,500 plus City fans went for the trip. And they witnessed a 0-0 draw. So, yeah, that's it. So, bagels, more bagels. That is all we need to know.
Bagels for breakfast, bagels for lunch, donuts for your snack, bagels for your tea.
Paul will be happy to know that apparently Aaron Connolly missed 2 good chances, which is part of the course if you'll listen to Paul.
Doesn't sound like our boy Aaron.
Hull had more shots on target, less of the possession. I mean, a draw sounded like a fair result. Estepinian had a shot well saved. Tufan had a couple of goals at the end of the first half, still couldn't crack it. So, in terms of a performance, I don't think from what I've heard and read, it was terrible, but maybe just left a little bit to be desired in the final third. So, I think there was definitely chances to win it, but still, a point away from home. Against the team that have as well struggled in there, which is usually, as we've discussed before, usually the ones that turn us over. It's not the worst result ever. So a point on the road I will always take. So yeah, 0-0 unfortunately.
Definitely agree with you there. You can't really argue with a point on the road. Stu was the least optimistic of the group and went for a 1-0 Stoke win, with Dwight Gale to score the goal, so 0 points there. Matt had gone for a 2-1 away win. Longman and Connolly to score for Hull, with Dwight Gale to get the goal for Stoke, so no points there. Myself and Andy both gone for a 1-1 draw. Points there for myself and Mr. Cook. Obviously no goal scorer there for our goal scoring predictions. We're null and void. So, after 3 games, I have Stu is at the back with 2 points. Myself and Mr. Cook have 3 points. Mr. Moore in the lead on 4 points. Our 4th game of the week takes us to East Anglia, where Norwich City took on Hull City. Obviously, he's just given us the lowdown of a 0-0. Second away game in the space of a week. Did the Hull City fans have more joy in Norfolk?
Determine more joy. They had to travel to East Anglia from Hull on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, not the best. Although you could argue it's basically just, can they not just sail across the gap?
It probably would have been a little quicker. Paul's clearly forgetting the fact that Lincolnshire does stick out quite a way. Welcome to Geography Podcast, everybody. In terms of more joy, for about 7 or 8 minutes maybe, as Hull City went 1-0 up, thanks to Jacob Greaves, after 5 minutes. And then it kind of went to shit, is the technical term. On 18 minutes, Norwich drew level through Dowell, and it was 1-1 at half time. Thinking, great, this isn't the worst it could have gone. And then Norwich switched it on in the second half. So Sarah scored on the 58th minute, and then right at the death on 89 minutes, Josh Sargent made it 3-1 to Norwich. I mean, Norwich had been pummeled recently by Burnley, and I think I called that as well, that we would probably lose against these guys because they needed that sort of bounce back. They'd gone 8 matches without a home win, so welcome along, Tigers. Here we go. But yeah, I expected it to be. To me, this is probably one of them games on paper, regardless, that they wouldn't necessarily have had down for nailed-on points. Had it stayed 1-1, that would have been the proverbial bonus point, I think. But it's still in the last. I think it's in the last 13 or 14 games, certainly since Rosini took over. I think that's only the 3rd time that they've lost. So it's not the end of the world at this point. The table's still looking much better than it did before he took over. So you're never going to win every game for the rest of the season. So it's just got to write this one off. The difficult part, I think, will be... Well, not difficult, but the more interesting part is how they respond in the next game. Because, without meaning too much disrespect, the opposition probably aren't of the same quality. So I'll be more interested to see what happens this coming weekend back at home against what I personally would consider a lesser side in Preston. It does marry up quite well for the coming weekend on the sense of both teams head into the weekend level on points. So there's that to play out as well. But yeah, unfortunately, succumbed to a 3-1 defeat away at Norwich.
Sad times. Obviously, like you say, positive to take from it is the fact that they're top of the bottom half, if you will, and they're several points clear of the relegation zone, which is all that kind of matters at this point in the season. From a predictions perspective, Andy was the most optimistic, noticing a pattern here, had gone for a 2-0 Hull City win. Estepinian and Longman with the goals, Mr. Cook. Sadly, no points. Myself, Stu, and Matt had all gone for varying degrees of Norwich win. I had 1-0 Pookie, which is the point for the result, not the goal scorers. Stu had 2-0 with Pookie and Sargent to score, so gets himself 2 points there for the result and one of the scorers. Matt had 2-1 with Pookie and Sargent for one of the goals and Estepinian for Hull, so again gets himself 2 points there. So, going into our last game of the week, we have Andy on 3 points, myself and Stu on 4 points, Matt taking a lead with 6 points going into the last game. So, our last game of the week was a second away game of the week for my team as well. Middlesbrough travelling to Sheffield United. Didn't realise, didn't pick up on that at the time. All of our games played away from home this weekend, or this week in general. How very strange. This one could not have started any worse for Middlesbrough. After 5 minutes, they went behind to an Ollie McBurney goal that was straight off the training ground. A long throw-in, launched into the box where McBurney planted his big stupid forehead on it, and it went straight in past the goalkeeper. Not the best start.
How many people did he assault on the way through?
Oh, he definitely tried to sort of throw at least one or two of the defenders out of the way. And, later on in the game, he also did just sort of leave one on one of the Borough players, Hayden Hackney, when there was no one else around him, and no one else could possibly have told him not to do it. But ball bags are as ball bags will be. So. Sheffield United took a 1-0 lead. Middlesbrough managed to get themselves back into the game about 10 or so minutes later with a lovely worked team goal. Nice passing move. Marcus Force put down the right hand side, played the ball into the path of Stu Brackpalm, who got it out of his feet, took John Egan out of the game, slotted it straight past Wes Foderingham in the Sheffield United goal. And from there on, Borough just sort of went up another gear and just kind of put Sheffield United to the sword. 3 minutes after the restart, Cameron Archer found himself on the end of a through ball and absolutely lashed the ball past Foderingham to put Borough 2-1 up. And then they got slightly fortunate with a passage of play in the middle of the park. I can't remember who the Borough player was that tried to make a tackle on the Sheffield United player as he broke away. Definite foul. Ref gave the advantage, played the advantage on. The Sheffield United player lost the ball. Probably should have been brought back for the free kick for Sheffield United, but the ref decided to play the advantage. Hayden Hatley played Cameron Archer through, and he clipped the ball over and round Foderingham for 3-1 Borough, and that's where the game ended. Not before Paul Heckingbottom was sent to the stands for his protestation at the third Middlesbrough goal, to which all and sundry were absolutely pleased that they didn't have to see that little gargoyle parading around on the touchline any longer.
I was going to say, how big was the shit fit from that little prick about that not going? I think because of course he takes things really well.
Oh yeah, textbook response from him as well. Obviously, as the ref comes over and gives him the red card, he decides to give it the old directly in the ref's face. So let's hope he gets another couple of game touchline ban added on for that little petulant episode. You little prick. So, predictions wise, myself and Stuart and Matt had all gone for Sheffield United wins on this. We were all super negative. Stu and Matt had both gone for 1-0 to Sheffield United. Matt had gone for Sander Berg to score. Stu had gone for Ollie McBurney to score the goal, so gets himself a little bonus point there. I had gone 2-1 Sheffield United. I had Billy Sharp to score. He was injured in the lead up to the game, so wasn't able to play.
Was he still out celebrating after the Wrexham game and rubbing it in? No offence.
I think he may have
dehydrated from all the tears he was crying.
That might have been it. He was injured. Yeah, he was injured, crying too much at how disrespectful Wrexham had been in their semi-final FA Cup tie against them the week before. So I had Billy Sharp and Ollie McBurney to score for Sheffield United. Cameron Archer to score for the Borough. So I get myself a little bonus point there. So 2 points for me. Mr. Cook, though, ever the optimist, and it's paid off for him again, had a 1-0 Middlesbrough win in the books with Archer to score the goal. Secures himself a little bonus point there. So, all that means for the overall week scores, Stu and Andy tied on 5 points from 5 games. Gives us a pat on the back, lads. Point a game. With a little average there. Myself and Mr. Moore, 6 points from the 5 games. So it's a while since we've had a tie on the podcast from a predictions perspective. So well done, Mr. Moore. You both did a little bit better than Mr. Cook and Mr. Woodmansey. We'll do a Billy Sharp and we'll congratulate ourselves and take solace from the fact that Mr. Cook and Mr. Woodmansey disrespected us a little bit going into this week.
Yeah, they've been thinking about how they were going to win all week and.
Exactly, and that just didn't sit right with me or Mr. Moore. So it's definitely for the best of the podcast that the correct result was had all around. So that's week 26 done and dusted. We just have the 3 games. It's a short week this week, just 3 games this coming weekend. But before we do those predictions, we are going to take a small break to recompose ourselves, maybe rehydrate so we're not making any rash decisions. You guys don't need to worry about that, though. You don't need to touch that dial. We'll be right back in 1 moment.
Recording in progress.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. So, like we said before, we took a little break. The week 27 predictions. Just 3 games to go through here, and we start, as we always do, when it's on at least, in the Premier Division, where Nottingham Forest will take on Manchester City with God knows how many fit centre-halves available to them. It is Mr. Mo's team, so he will get to give us the massacre. I mean, his prediction last. I'll dive in here. I didn't realise that was the situation with the centre-halves. But I have gone for a 3-1 Manchester City win on this one, sadly. Obviously, given Manchester City, obviously, by the time this goes out, this will no longer be news. But Manchester City this week have just gone back to the top of the Premier League, having just defeated Arsenal by 3-1. So I believe they will repeat that scoreline at the City ground this weekend. I've gone for Gibbs White to score for Forest, and I think they'll rest Erling Haaland. So I've gone for Alvarez to get 2 up top, and Mahrez to get the 3rd. Stu, what have you got down for this one?
I have also, unfortunately for Matt, got a 1-3 scoreline.
Interesting.
I've got Johnson for Forest.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is not the only time we will hear that name. I am absolutely certain. During this section of the podcast.
I don't think they'll rest Haaland because, you know, he's got to get to Alan Shearer's goal target by the next week. So I think it'll be 2 for Haaland, and I've got 1 for Gundogan.
Haaland 2. Gundogan. As I did before, when Man City played Forest, I've even put a little umlaut over his O in his name, so there's absolutely no confusion. Mr. Cook, what have you got for this one?
In a lot of ways, similar to Stu, just without that many goals. I like to be as optimistic as possible, but even I couldn't make it across the line this week. So, 1-1 draw. Johnson and Haaland.
Love it. Go on then, Mr. Moore, what do you reckon?
0-4.
He's in the room and he's not even giving his boys a goal.
They've just beaten Arsenal 3-1. I think I'm being positively optimistic that it's just going to be 4-0, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see why. Goal scorers?
I've gone Haaland 2. Got boots, he needs to fill them.
Yeah.
And then De Bruyne and Grealish.
For anyone who may or may not have seen that goal this evening, De Bruyne's goal for the opener was spot on. He literally had milliseconds to sort of get to the ball and managed to get it just past the post.
I saw it and I thought, oh, he shanked it, and then it just gently curled all the way in, just sneaking past the post, and I was like, oh, nice.
What are people on the podcast's feelings towards Arsenal?
A little indifferent, really, for me.
The team I can deal with, it's their fans that I can't stand.
I think they've got value, though, because, where would we all have been during lockdown without Arsenal TV to laugh at?
Yeah.
That's the problem, though. Once they win, then, good God, the smuggest bunch of words you can't use regularly.
Whilst I agree, there is... I do like a couple of the guys on Arsenal Fan TV, but there's one guy that pisses me off beyond belief, and I believe it's Ty, and he's the guy who turns up in the woolly hat, and he's always got his headphones on, and he's always basically decked out in Arsenal tracksuit and everything. He did a thing where he went on a Sky Sports panel show, and this Tottenham fan was talking about the fact that he felt that Tottenham were a better team, obviously, because they'd finished above Arsenal for the last 4 or 5 seasons or something like that. And this Thai fella, that's his name, I'm not sort of like having a go at his, like, you know, country of origin. His name is Ty. He was basically, all he kept saying was, "When did you last win a trophy? When did you last win a trophy? When did you last win a trophy?" I was like, shut the fuck up! Let the guy speak! Christ almighty. Anyway, enough about Arsenal, as we drop back down to the Championship, where Hull City will take on Preston North End, as Mr. Woodmansey alluded to earlier. Hey?
Before you get going, I have information. I have team news information. So, returning from suspension this week was Benjamin Tete, and he did play all 90 minutes without managing to headbutt or attempt to headbutt anybody. So, if you so require, he will be back in the team. However, much to Paul's delight, Connolly may not be, as he seemed to pick up a knock against Stoke and played no part even in the squad against Norwich.
So what you're saying is that Tete managed to get through a game without chinning somebody, so he's got one in the chamber.
Well, I mean, I don't think he'll find it that exciting, but yes, potentially.
Interesting. It's Mr. Woodmansey's team, obviously he will go last. I'm going to come to Andy for his prediction on this one.
With this news that Stuart has revealed, it hasn't actually changed my prediction. It's a 1-0 Hull win with an Estupiñán goal, please.
Matt.
I've gone for, ready for it, a 3-0 Hull win.
I thought I was the optimistic one.
Got to balance it out. But I'm spreading the goal love around. Estupiñán, Longman, and Greaves.
He's going for the centre back to get goals in back-to-back games. I like it a lot. So we had a slightly optimistic 1-0, a very optimistic 3-0. Can anyone guess what I have already written in the book?
2-0.
Correct answer. 2-0 Hull. Tete and Slater to get the goals. So, let's go to the horse's mouth himself and find out what he has got for his boys.
Oddly for me, I have also got 2-0 Hull. Don't predict them to win very often.
No, that is true. I think Preston are potentially on the verge of a managerial switch here. I don't think things are going to plan. So
not before the weekend, hopefully. But I have also got Estupiñán, and I've gone for Tete, seeing as Paul thinks he's got one in the chamber and is likely to clearly kill somebody on the field. I think he may wish to atone for his previous indiscretions by sticking one in the net, hopefully.
Let's hope that is the case. Our final game of the week sees Middlesbrough take on what I believe was Hull's sloppy seconds from a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
In Queen's Park Rangers at the River Dance. Obviously, it's my team, therefore I will go last. Matt, what have you got down for this one?
I've gone for a Borough 2-0 win.
Excellent. Goal scorers, please.
Akpom and Archer.
Andy, what have you got for this one?
Take Matt's prediction, take out Akpom and put 4s in, and save yourself a little bit of effort.
So 2-0, Archer, 4s.
Bingo bango, baby.
Mr. Woodmansey?
Paul, speaking of teams in potential managerial disarray, QPR might be on that list as well of late. Things haven't exactly gone their way either. After Borough have won the last, 2 games, 3-1, I have got them pegged to do one better and do 4-1 against QPR.
Goal scorers?
Clearly 2 for one for Archer. And I hope you're all sitting down for this.
Oh, he's jinxing him. I knew it.
You're damn right. So I'll go for a Marcus Force. I'm not even saying it's an own goal. It has to count for Middlesbrough. So Marcus Force to score for Borough.
And your goal scorer for QPR?
Chair.
Well, I did say he was were people on the edge of theirs. So just down to me, and I have gone for a 3-0 home win. Obviously, that was the same result in week 24. Yep, Hull City 3, Queen's Park Rangers 0. So I'll go for a repeat score for the Borough. I've gone for 1 each for Akpom, Archer, and Fours. So, just on a side note, from a Borough perspective, Akpom's goal tonight took him to 17 for the season. If he manages to bag 3 more, he will be the first Middlesbrough player to get 20 league goals in a season since Bernie Slaven did it in 1990.
I thought you were going to say since Kelly was in black and white last time.
I believe they are the English League club with the longest drought of a 20-goal-a-season league striker.
I mean, Bernie
Oh my
Slaven,
God, please get 3 more goals this season.
Bernie Slaven, who's probably now more famous for chatting shite on like Northeast Radio with Malcolm McDonald and
Eric Gates.
I don't quite remember who the Sunderland guy is.
Eric Gates was the guy. He's more famous for that, and the fact that he once made a bet that if Middlesbrough beat Manchester United, he would bare his arse in a local department store window called Bins. Middlesbrough went on to win the game 2-3, and he did just that. He wore his kilt as a Scotsman that represented Ireland, strangely, and he actually wrote 2-3 on his bare arse cheeks.
Regardless of the action itself, being able to write that succinctly on each cheek is top skills. Well done.
Fair play to the guy. So, fingers crossed, and best of luck to Mr. Akpom for the remainder of the season. Hopefully he can get those 3 goals and several more to propel Middlesbrough up the table and hopefully, fingers crossed, towards the Premier League. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your lot for us from this week. I'd just like to thank once again, as always, these 3... Oh, I take it back. Mr. Moore has some other business.
I thought, just to kind of put you in a little kind of brighter light, did you know that Michael Carrick is the best Borough manager start in 50? He's got the most points in 15 games, better than Jack Charlton, Brian Robson, all that kind of thing. So yeah, that was a little kind of thing on that. And then just to bring you back down to earth, of course, the turd that will never flush, Colin, is back in management at Huddersfield, just as a little kind of...
Oh, how could we forget?
Has anybody got Huddersfield coming up?
Borough will certainly have to play them at some point this season, because they've already only played them once. I will check the fixtures list, and I believe it is on the horizon. Let me have a look. I can't remember whether it's away from home or not, to be honest with you. I believe it might well be. Let's have a look. Fixtures. Huddersfield Town, John Smith Stadium, Saturday, 1st of April.
1st of April? 1st of April?
I smell an away day with some potential for Fool's Day jinx, shall we say. Hull must still have to play him, surely.
No, we don't. We're all out of Magic Rugby for the season.
You're terried out. Gutted. But yes, Mr. Warnock made a return to the dugout at the age of 70. And one tweet that did do the rounds was the fact that in 1995, Neil Warnock was the manager of Huddersfield Town. Gianluigi Buffon was playing in goal for Parma. In 2023, Neil Warnock is the manager for Huddersfield Town, and Gianluigi Buffon is playing in goal for Parma. As much as things change, as much as things stay the same, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any more to add to that, Mr. Moore, or Mr.
No, just those two little kind of ditties that I'd seen. Where I thought I'd brighten your day and then just sully it a little bit, you know. Just, there's a nice bit of something, there's a little bit of shit on it at the end,
Lovely stuff. Yes, so thank you to these three gentlemen for joining me to take you through the world of Middlesbrough, Nottingham Forest and Hull City-based hijinks. Join us again next week where we'll do it all over again and give you the lowdown. But until that time, thanks very much, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.
So there you go, what do you think to that? All the games gone, all the games to come. Looking forward to finding out who's going to win the week. If you think you can go up against us, why don't you jump over to the website, click that email button and send us your predictions. Also, please do like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop reviews where you can drop reviews and share the podcast around. So that's it. Until next time, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.